after the long breather, we are back, and it's time for us to have our Take Note conversation. And today is a special day. Now, World Sickle Cell Day is celebrated every year on the 19th of June all around the world to raise public awareness about this fatal disease to get effective control over the situation.
Now, increasing effective awareness of sickle cell anemia is a major health issue worldwide, and today the United Nations and other interested countries are celebrating the 40th anniversary of the World Sickle Cell Day. Various events are organized by Sickle Cell Society in collaboration with governments, doctors, parents, NGOs, and other interested parties to raise awareness and to support those suffering from the sickle cell disease to achieve their full potential.
Right. In Uganda, where the burden of sickle cell trait and disease continues to affect hundreds of people, the national event is at Central Public Health Laboratory Services in Butabika. Now, of course, right now, we'd like to make sure that you don't miss out on this. And so we do have David Rukasi right there. He is among the hundreds to be screened for sickle cell today. Good morning, David. David, good morning. David,
good morning, Mala. Yes. We are in Butabika this morning. It's we're going to be commemorating World Sickle Cell Day today, and we made the trip to Butabika. We're going to get the details of where we are in a few minutes. I have a doctor here that is going to be introducing himself. We are in a lab. We're going to get the explanation of everything that happens here. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning to you.
Thank you very much for letting us into the lab.
You're welcome.
First of all, we have to put on these things. Your names, please.
I'm Isaac Soanyana. Okay. I'm the laboratory director. Here we are is the Uganda National Health Laboratory Services. It's the reference lab for the national laboratory networks.
When I got into here, first of all, the facility is awesome. And I got details that this is the best in Africa.
Yeah, it's one of the best labs in Africa. It's accredited, and it's the results that you get here are internationally acceptable.
So when we come here, we're coming here on World Sickle Cell Day, and many people would be thinking, well, it's only sickle cell lab, but I've learned that it's a lab that does all kinds of tests.
Yeah, it's a national reference lab. It does a lot more other tests. So it's a lab where we're trying to do tests that we can't easily do in lower health facilities. So we do tests like the viral load for HIV, monitoring the virus activity in the body, especially for patients who are on ART. So if patients are on drugs, their virus is not supposed to be multiplying. So we measure the virus regularly to see if their drugs are working. We also do early infant diagnosis for HIV. So ideally, you can't do HIV on a newborn baby using the antibody-based test that we normally use, the rapids. So we have to do a more sophisticated test where we look for the presence of the virus itself. So that test, we also do it here. We also do other molecular tests like monitoring viral load for hepatitis B, hepatitis C. We're doing advanced tests for cancer screening and a lot more. And also microbiology tests for outbreak investigations.
Wow. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of work. So you're a very busy man here.
Yeah, I'm only the one standing before the camera. In front of the camera, it's a whole big team.
Okay.
Yeah.
For how long have you been doing this? And where did you get the accreditation for you to be here?
Yeah, accreditation happened in 2017, but we've been doing this work a lot longer than that. So this facility we moved in 2017. Previously, we were at Buganda Road in a more smaller premise, but we've been expanding our scope and expanding the services that we're giving to Ugandans.
Okay. In case you're just joining us this morning, we're commemorating World Sickle Cell Day, and we are in Butabika. This is the International Referral It's the Uganda National Health Laboratory Service. And this is where we are. We're going to be doing a couple of tests here. And I carried along, moved along with a good friend of mine here, Stephen Bidde. On our journey here, we decided amongst us, he looks most in need of a test. So he is going to be the one that is going to take this test. So Stephen, you can come and join me.
So
where do we need this? On every lab is.
Yeah, in a lab you have to have a protective gear. So this is for your safety.
Is going to be some spilling blood? Or?
It's not that there's going to be spillage of blood, but in case there is a spillage, you have to be safe. So it's an environment where you have to be 100% safe. Okay. Yeah. But probably we talk about sickle cell.
Oh, yes.
Today is the sickle cell day. It's a day where we're supposed to cause awareness about sickle cell. Sickle cell is an inherited condition, and most of us actually are carrier for the sickle cell genes, especially people in areas around sub-Saharan Africa. There is a high prevalence of sickle cell gene. So most of us are carriers, and we do not know about it, and we pass on these genes to our children. So a children who gets sickle cell disease is one who is getting the genes from both parents, the sickle cell gene from both parents. So it's important for people to know their sickle cell status, and that can inform especially their choices for spouses. I don't say that people discriminate people with sickle cell gene, but at least you are informed about the choices you're making. So we encourage it. So the test we're going to be doing is the rapid test that we normally do in the field. And this is what we encourage everyone to be doing to know their sickle cell status. But we also do a more advanced test here for children, for the babies especially, to identify if they are sicklers early enough or not. So the test we are going to do can only tell you you have the sickle cell trait or you do not have it. But to be able to tell if a child is a sickler or not, we need to do a more advanced test that we do here.
Okay, thank you very much for that explanation, Doctor. Please take the lead. Stephen Bidde is here.
So I've become the specimen? Or
no, you're not a specimen. Today you are the advocacy for sickle cell testing. Yeah, we can.
You can call him anything nice as long as he's the one getting pricked.
So today you are the champion.
Yes.
You're demonstrating to people that everyone can take this simple prick and they can know about their sickle cell status, and they can promote awareness about sickle cell.
Okay, as we go on with the test, we'll talk about the stigma surrounding sickle cell and the test and all that, but we can get started. First of all, you have to get registered, you have to take your names. What do they need for the registration? Names?
Yeah.
And definitely your contact.
Okay, they're not using the proper form, but for demonstration purposes, yeah, they can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Ideally, when you do, it's just like any information you provide in the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. To be able to identify your results with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So about the stigma, sickle cell has a lot of stigma, especially when there is a lot of myth and misinformation about it. When you go out in the society, they discriminate families where there are children with sickle cell. Yeah. And there are lots of myths about witchcraft, about curses, but this is a genetic condition. And most people may have health children in their homes just because they are lucky. The children did not inherit the double genes. Okay. But you find that many families actually, you find at least one parent is going to have a sickle cell gene.
Okay, so Stevie, you can get your test going as the doctor explained.
But maybe Donna should explain why should
go and get tested. Don't start asking the doctor to explain.
Sickle cell, once it's identified early, it's a manageable condition.
Okay.
It's a chronic. A child is going to be with that condition, but it increases the child's survival. If we identify it early and they receive appropriate medical care.
As you can see, that's a very simple prick. Very simple, painless.
Yeah.
Painless.
And in a few minutes, he'll get to know his sickle cell trait status.
Wow. I think this is the reason why you have put on his. So how long does this? How long does the test take after taking his blood sample there?
The test is going to take a few minutes,
Okay.
up to 10 minutes, and we have the results.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there we go. Stephen Bide has just taken a blood sample of his blood. Clearly, I think the drug has gotten to him. He has a lot to say, but we'll excuse him. Thank you very much, Stephen. So right about now, we wait for 10 minutes, and the results will be out.
Yeah. The results will be out.
Okay. So let's talk about there are a lot of like we were talking about the stigma surrounding sickle cell. There's a lot of things that we don't know about sickle cell, and especially one that happens to be a patient or a victim of that. I don't want to call victim because that sounds a little bit harsh. How are they supposed to treat themselves? How are they supposed to feed? How are they supposed to live? That is not so much knowledge that we get. Yes, we find out that you have sickle cells, but
actually, yeah. Regarding the stigma, I think I may not even be the best person to speak about it. Evelyn.
Oh yes, Evelyn. Yes.
Yeah, the sickle cell officer.
Yes.
Who has a deep psychosocial knowledge around sickle cell, can elaborate more about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 So as we wait for Evelyn to come and give us just a few details of, if you by any chance you get tested and find out that you have that sickle cell trait, how do you deal with that situation in your life? How do you feed? How do you live with life? Are there things that you need to avoid doing? Sometimes you find some people don't need to drink a lot. Especially when I talk about drinking, you know what I'm talking about. Some people need to eat certain foods to make sure that they keep healthy and stuff like that. Evelyn is going to be here in a few minutes, and we'll get to talk about that. In general, is there anything else that you feel that we should know before we leave the lab and talk to Evelyn?
Yeah. So once you know it's unlikely that you're an adult like him.
Yeah.
Is going to be a sickle cell, a sickler.
Yes.
It's unlikely because we would have identified him much earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. But the match he can be is a sickle cell carrier. And once you is a sickle cell carrier, you're normal. Nothing you have to do about it. Okay. You do not have to eat any special foods. You do not have to do anything about it. You only know that once you intend to have family, it's important that also your spouse know their sickle cell trait status. And that way it can inform your choices, especially if you want to know the risks of your children having sickle cell. So if a child is a sickler, then that's where you need special care. Children who have sickle cell, they are more susceptible to certain infections, especially bacterial infections. And so they get more intensified vaccination schedules, and we need to keep them in certain conditions because during certain weather conditions they are likely to suffer episodes. Yeah, so what happens with the sickle cell is that they are red blood cells, the carriers of oxygen. The pigment that is in there that gives blood, the red color, is the one that is defective. Okay. So it does not carry oxygen very well like the normal hemoglobin. Okay. And under certain stress conditions, they cause the cells to sickle, to form a sickle shape. So normally red blood cells are round and flexible, so they become sickle shaped and rigid. And that causes the blood to it causes the cells of the blood to clamp, especially in pressure areas. Okay. And that's the children develop pains in those areas, and then because of the pathology that comes with impaired blood flow, then they are susceptible to other pathological conditions. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Unfortunately, time doesn't allow us to go past this. Evelyn is around the corner, running up and down. The preparations are on today. We're commemorating World Sickle Cell Day today, and the commemorations are here in Butabika at Uganda National Health Laboratories. Evelyn is finally here. Evelyn, we'll just have a minute or two with you so that as we wait for our test as well, just to get
the stigma and the social.
Yes, many times when we get patients, we get when someone finds out that they have sickle cells, they need to know is there anything that they need to stay away from? Is there anything they need to feed on? Please come and join us, and maybe we can take you just explain that in a few minutes.
When you have a child with sickle cell, the first time you hear that information, you feel like you've been handed a death sentence. But there is hope. One, your child is not going to die because there is care. Once a test is done, then we start the care. All our hospitals have sickle cell clinics. We have doctors who are highly trained to manage these cases. But the family has a role to play in the way they care for the child at home. Because if the doctor gives you this medicine to give it to the child and you do not adhere, then that's a problem. Now, we are in a rainy season. Keep your child warm. Okay. And keep them rehydrated. Even if it is raining, they must be drinking. They need to eat high proteins. They need to eat a lot of calories. Why? Because their red blood cells are breaking at a very high rate. That's why you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to see some of the patients here, they have a yellow in the eyes. The body is hemolyzing. When you see that, don't just rush and boil leaves. Increase the fluids. But also go to the hospital so that the doctor can check and know, is there an infection? Is the child having something else that is bringing this on so that you can have treatment? But the message we want to give the parents is take heart. Join a group, join a family, be in touch with a family that is going through the same hassle you're going through so that they can support you. But also keep in touch with the doctor who monitors your child.
Okay, that's very, very important. So the commemorations are here today. For someone out there that would be interested, what should they expect in just a few minutes?
We are celebrating those who are battling with the disease. Okay. We also remember those who have lost the battle. Okay. The UN Convention 2008 asked all member states to commemorate this day, to raise awareness, to advocate for care, and for support. For those who are coming today, it's a celebration. Yeah. There is music, there is food. The doctors you've been hearing about, they are all here. So you're going to have an interface with a specialist to ask, is my child okay? Is this height okay? What should I use? What should I do? So come and meet those who have lived with sickle cell, but they have graduated, they are married, they have children. People think if you have sickle cell,
the end of the day.
It's the end. You don't have a family. They have families. And you know the most beautiful thing is, if you have sickle cell, you will not have a child with sickle cell. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. With information, when you know how to choose a partner, you can have a child who doesn't have sickle cell.
Wow. Thank you very much, Evelyn.
Thank you too. I hope you've tested yourself.
We had someone
and
that
I hope you can test your partner.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there. Thank you very much, Evelyn. In case you're just joining us this morning, we're at Uganda National Health Laboratories. Today we're commemorating World Sickle Cell Day, and the celebrations, like Evelyn just told you, are here in, I keep forgetting this name, Butabika. The celebrations are in Butabika at the Uganda National Health Laboratories, and
because you know, since it's Butabika,
you hear Stephen Bide's suggestions. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us this morning. The celebrations are going to be here. Of course, NTV is here, and we'll keep covering the celebrations as they go on during the day, and we'll definitely share with you a little bit later on. Right about now, let me hand you back to the ladies in studio, that is Mala and Rita, to take you more with what's happening with Morning at NTV. My name is David Rukasi. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's catch up a little bit later as the celebrations or the commemorations for World Sickle Cell Day go on here in Butabika. Good morning.